us, especially if you're joining us on Facebook. We're here with Susan Inman, our Arkansas State voting rights advocate extraordinaire, and she is going to run us through a quick training on how to vote absentee during the pandemic, as well as how to help our friends and family vote absentee. So I am now going to present the slideshow, and let's go, Susan.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to be here and happy to present this because we all know how important this is, because we won't get to participate, many of us, if we don't have the ability to get an absentee ballot. So what I want to talk about is just what happens. How do you do it? How do you get an absentee ballot? So you have to ask for it. You have to request of the clerk to send you an absentee ballot. And then why do you want to do this? Well, COVID-19, 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 and you'll have time to study your ballot and you can vote safely at home. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody on this call, there will be polling place closures in the fall. If this pandemic takes the steps that it's taking, they will close polling places and consolidate polling places. So we need to be prepared to be able to vote. And that's what absentee voting is. So let's flip it up to the next slide. So this is the Arkansas application for an absentee ballot. And this kind of gives you an idea how to fill it out. We cut this into two parts because it was too long to fit on one page. So the address goes to your county clerk, the date you filled it out. You are requesting an absentee ballot for the first reason on the form. You will be unavoidably absent from your polling place on election day. That has been authorized as an acceptable excuse for voters that do not want to go to the polls and request an absentee ballot. The second thing, you have to check where you reside. And this is so the clerk will know who you are and who they're sending this ballot to. The next highlighted place is the election you're requesting. Go back, Laura. The general election, nonpartisan general runoff and general election runoff. That's the election November 3rd. That's the one you're asking for. You do not have to fill out any party preference because that's for requesting absentee ballots. So now we can flip down to the next one. So the clerk has to know where to send the ballot. So if you're like out of state, out of town, you'll put an address to receive it. If you live here and you want the ballot mailed to your home, you check that box and say where you want it sent. If you want to go pick up your ballot in person, you check the top box saying you'll be coming in to pick it up. The clerk has to know where to send it. So this is very important. And then you're signing the bottom part attesting that you are a registered voter in Pulaski County or whatever county, your current registered address, your date of birth, and your signature. Send that to the clerk. You can email it, you can mail it, you can fax it, you can even take a picture of it with your phone and email it to the clerk's office, but it needs to get there. And the deadline to request an absentee ballot is October 27th, but don't wait until then. If you wait until then, you may not get an absentee ballot back in time to you and back to the clerk in time. So it's imperative that we make these requests now. So a couple of reasons. So the counties will know how many absentee ballots to print and how many envelopes to order to send them in and how many people it's going to need to help process the absentee ballots when they come back in time to be counted. So next slide. So when will your ballot arrive? They're mailed out in the late September, early October, based on when you request it. The clerks don't even have them to mail out until the end of September. And that's when they start sending them. Like the military people that have requested ballots or overseas citizens will be mailed out first. So depending on when you request it, it will come sometime in October or as soon as you get your request in and they're available. You'll receive a large envelope addressed to you, and inside will be an unmarked ballot, a blank voter statement with instructions, a ballot only envelope to secure your marked ballot, and a pre-addressed envelope to send it all back. So that's what comes in the mail when you receive your absentee ballot. Go to the next slide. So when I'll tell you this, it is easier to vote in person than it is to vote absentee, but it's safer to vote absentee than it is in person these days. So it may sound complex the way we go through this process, but it's all about ensuring that you're the voter and the information is correct, and you're sending back the ballot correctly, and it will be properly processed. So the voter statement is one of the most important parts of voting absentee. You've got to print your name, sign it, put your date of birth, your registration address, and provide a photocopy of your photo ID, or there's a place on the voter statement to sign optional verification of identity. And this is for voters that don't have a photocopy machine and can't return a photocopy of their ID. So it is not absolutely required for most voters to send back a photocopy of an ID, but sign that statement, optional verification of ID. So you package your materials back, and you have to put them all in the right place. Your completed voter statement, your marked ballot sealed up in the ballot only envelope, and then the photocopy, unless you've signed on the voter statement. You seal all this stuff up in the big return envelope, put stamps on it as required, and put it in the mailbox. That's it. You voted. You roll up to the next slide. People are asking questions. So if you want to check to see if your ballot was received, call the clerk's office and ask. Or you can visit www.voterview.ar, or this URL here on the screen, and check. It'll tell you, when you look up your voter registration, the status of your absentee ballot, whether it was received, whether it's in process, whether it was counted. So you can always check to verify that your ballot has been received by the clerk. And I can tell you from working at elections for many, many years, all valid absentee ballots will be counted, all of them. Anybody have any questions or questions coming in? I see they're coming in. It is 3 stamps in Pulaski County to put on your ballot. It's different in other counties. That's why you need to verify with the clerk, and your envelope and materials will tell you how many stamps to place on the envelope. We're trying to get that changed through a lawsuit that's pending, asking that the state or the county pay for the postage. So we'll see how that works out. So Indivisible has been instrumental in trying to get this information out about absentee voting and how critical it is that we act now to request our absentee ballot, so everybody will have time to get prepared and get the ballots printed and back out to the voters. And also, if you have you don't get your ballot, or you change your mind and you want to go to the polls, you still can. You just would be required to vote a provisional ballot. Yes, Laurie?
Let's see here. Laurie asks, is it okay to include more than one application per envelope?
Your application to request?
Yes.
That doesn't matter. The requests are not as unique to the voter as the balloting materials. So you could drop off a whole stack of absentee ballot requests. That's not a problem. That is not prohibited. But only one ballot and ballot information can come back when you return your voted ballot. If 2 people in a household, want to put them together to just cover the postage, they can't do it. It won't be counted. Neither ballot will be counted. So each individual voter's ballot has to come back in those particular envelopes.
Susan, did you see Terry's question? What would invalidate, and Terry, is this, you say ballot, and you mean ballot and not ballot application, right? Because there's 2 different things. We're talking today about the ballot application, and then later, course, in October, you'll get your ballot, but she says ballot.
Wait, say the
And
question.
so I guess her question, what would invalidate a ballot? Like things that you might do wrong.
Okay, if the voter didn't sign the voter statement, that would invalidate the whole ballot. If the voter didn't sign or it made their signature didn't match the application, that could invalidate it. If the ballot comes back not marked, you didn't mark it, then there's no vote. So it's mostly invalidated because of failure to properly complete the voter statement or not return an ID if needed.
Okay. And so Kelly asks, how do you get the form to request an absentee ballot?
They're all over the internet. You've got them on your, Indivisible has it available on their website, and you can get it from the Secretary of State's website. If you're in Pulaski County, you can get it from the Pulaski County Clerk's website. You can call the county clerk and say, send me an absentee ballot application, and they'll send it to you.
And if you go to indivisiblelrca.org or VIPvoter.org, at the top, both of those have a voter info menu option, and both of them have an option that says request your ballot. And if you go to either of those places, you can get a list of county clerks with their phone numbers and email addresses and give them a call to request, or you can print out the ballot yourself and just fill it out and email them a picture. Either way.
Yeah, the county clerks are very helpful. I mean, they're there for you. That is their job. So don't ever hesitate to call and ask a question. The county clerks are the voter registrar, and they take care of absentee voting and your registration. And there's no reason not to call if you have a question.
Okay, I think, Hayden, I just answered your question by accident. Is there one stop shop that lists county clerk information for all counties in Arkansas? And there is a PDF list that's available at the Secretary of State's office, and it's also on our website, VIP Voter and Indivisible LRCA, and it lists everybody. So you can distribute that list widely to all your friends across the state. I may be missing
Lori,
some.
there's a question on Facebook. It's, if I can ask it, says
Yeah.
The Garland County Clerk's Office has given people 2 different answers about which ballot to request. Would you repeat that section again?
Well, if you want there may be some other election going on in Garland County right now, but the November general election is the general, that checkbox right here on the form, the general election, nonpartisan runoff, and general election runoff. So that covers the presidential election ballot with everybody on it, and judicial candidates' names will be on it. And then if there is a runoff from the general, which would be some municipal offices possibly, that would also allow for that to be sent to the voter.
Okay.
Thank you.
We've got 2 minutes before we're supposed to be turning to our next topic. We might run a couple minutes over, but let's see here. Barrett says it's good to know that all absentee ballots will be counted. Did you already cover this one, Susan? Is there a checks and balance system to ensure this, or is there some accountability to ensure that?
Well, I've heard many people think or mistakenly say that if the election is, decided by votes before the absentee ballots are counted, that they won't be counted, but yes, they will. They'll all be counted if they're valid and added into the totals. In particular, overseas citizens and military voters overseas out of their area, and their spouses have an extra window of time to return their absentee ballots. The domestic voters, or the people that live in domestic voters, the ones that live here, have to have their absentee ballot in by the close of business on election day. It has to be received by mail on that day. But the other category of voters are allowed an extra 10 days to get their votes in. So the numbers are really not certified until all possible votes have come in. and inclusive of absentee voters. So they're all counted.
Okay, Meg Koziar says, I already sent in my application. I don't recall if I signed using my middle initial. So what did she do? Can she get a look at how she signed?
Well, the clerk is going to look at the name and the date of birth and the address and verify that that is in fact a registered voter in that county. So, but if she has a question or a concern, again, I'll say call the clerk's office and ask if that's a problem. It shouldn't be, because they're going to look at the first name, last name, and date of birth and physical address.
Okay. All right, Donna, are there any more questions on Facebook before we wrap up?
Here's one that says, I got here late, but can you explain the ID requirement for absentee ballots?
Absentee voters are required to return a photocopy of their photo ID when they return their absentee ballot, unless they don't have a photocopy machine and they can sign on the voter statement, optional verification of identity. It's very important that they sign that if they don't return a copy. There's one exception that is required to return a copy of their ID, and that's a first-time voter, someone who has never voted in Arkansas before, who registered to vote by mail. So nobody's seen them anywhere. They are required to submit a photocopy of their ID. But any other voter, eligible voter, who cannot provide or produce a copy of their ID can sign the optional verification of identity on the voter statement. And that's very important.
Okay.
There's also a comment here that says, and this may be Lone Oak, I'm not sure. My county says the ballot has to be in the day before the election.
If you delivered in person, yes, it has to be hand delivered the day before the election, but ballots in the mail will be coming in. They have to be in by election day. Then the clerk's office will check the post office, you know, until the last possible delivery of ballots or mail has come in.
Okay, and that's why Susan is a lead on this project, on our coalition efforts. We're working with NAACP, League of Women Voters, Citizens First Congress, Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families, Disability Rights Arkansas. So it's a great coalition to put this information together, and we're so grateful to Susan because, you know, she knows it all.
Well, it's kind of my thing, and it's important.
So this is actually, in fact, Susan put together most of the material in, for example, this flyer that we're putting together. So look for it. We're going to be finalizing this Why Vote Absentee flyer that you can print out. We'll be, of course, making lots of copies and have to share with your friends and family over the next month or two. And in particular, right now, we're really urging people to create a surge in requesting their absentee ballots at their county clerk, and that's so that the county clerks will kind of get this heads up. Hey, there is going to be a spike in absentee ballots to process this year in 2020, and so we need to prepare. So if you could just encourage your friends, so look for the brochure. That'll be out soon. Go to Vote Safe Arkansas on Instagram, Twitter, and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, of course. And let's see if I'm gonna take y'all to so I used it to post. My daughter, I know you can't hear the sound, but did this TikTok video of me, because no one else, I can't seem to get anyone else who's willing to go on camera. But so we tweeted this TikTok video of, you know, voting, right? So if you know, I challenge you to make your own video and post it on the Vote Safe AR hashtag. We also have some social media. Oops, I'm not sure what I'm doing there. And then, of course, you know, the information's on our website. So I think that was pretty much it. And I just want to make sure everyone has Susan's email address. Oops. If you want to get in touch with her specifically on this. Any other questions or thoughts or anything, Donna?
One more question. Can we pre-fill the application and have the voter complete personal information on the absentee ballot request?
Yeah, I mean, that's, it's their personal request, but you could certainly pre-fill in the county clerk if you're in the right county. And, the mailing address for the clerk's office. Yeah, but everything else on it's going to be pretty specific to what the voter wants. But as you are becoming ambassadors for absentee voting, you need to be aware, because they may ask you, how do I fill out this form? Which is why we did that sort of example printed mock-up form, which is available at the VIP voters website. So it's helpful information.